Steve Precker, melanoma survivor. I was first diagnosed in July 2019. It all started with a lump in my neck. I was a young guy, 38 years old, typical guy, probably hadn't been to a doctor in a while, but had this lump in my neck. That shouldn't be there. So that kind of lit the fire under my butt to go find my general practitioner, got a physical. He ran some blood tests, and it turned out I had really high liver numbers. So that, combined with the lump in my neck, they ordered an abdominal sonogram. The results from that came back and showed that I had tumors all over my liver, my spleen, in my abdomen. That was the first holy cow moment. And that holy cow was a bit more sanitized than what I had said when I first found out. They got a PET scan and I lit up like a Christmas tree. I had melanoma all throughout my bones, more than 100 palpable lesions under my skin, so all little lumps and bumps, and then tumors elsewhere. So without hesitation, my oncologist said that it was stage 4. And they wanted to get me started on immunotherapy right away, something I'd never heard of. I always thought cancer was treated with chemo. So I started on immunotherapy, the Ipi-Nivo treatments. I made it through the 4 required treatments and was about to get on the maintenance treatment before they did another round of blood work, and my liver numbers were like through the roof just because of the toxicity from the immunotherapy. But the good news is my tumors started shrinking anyway. So October 2019 was the last Ipi-Nivo combination treatment that I had, and since then I've had a complete metabolic response, and it's just absolutely wonderful and a miracle. And I decided that with whatever second chance I had, I wanted to get involved as an advocate, tell my story, hear the stories from others, and really advocate for research and funding. And we just had a great conversation on insurance, how we can continue to make things better so those of us with melanoma can continue to survive and thrive. This was the first time I think that I've heard, since last year, that we really had an in-depth discussion on insurance and what we can start doing differently to get people to listen, to get insurance companies to listen, to get our congressional representation to listen. And I'd really like for MRF to continue that drumbeat. And I'll be the loudest voice in support of it, because that was, as cancer patients, we have so much going on. The last thing we need to do is sit on the phone with insurance just to be told that we're being denied something. And it needs to change. So after my treatments ended, I was still getting ordered for every 3 months for PET scans. And my insurance company at the time was denying those PET scans, saying that CT scans would be sufficient. Now, I already knew that I still had some tumors or spots in my liver and elsewhere in my body, but the whole point was to see, are they active? What's the metabolic response of those tumors? A PET scan is going to tell you that. A CT scan is just going to confirm what we already know is there. The insurance company at the time said, well, our doctors say you don't need a PET scan. A CT scan is sufficient. Well, who are your doctors? Do they know my case? And how are these decisions made? I couldn't get any sufficient answers on that. I couldn't talk to any of the doctors that they claimed were making the decisions on my care. So that got me fired up, and I spent hours and hours and hours arguing with the insurance company. My doctors actually called to appeal, got nowhere. I started having to pay out of pocket with my own money PET scans. And Kylie had mentioned financial toxicity, and it's a lot. I mean, medical debt is a real thing that we patients take on just to live, and it's not fair. There has to be a more equitable and understandable system. Be loud. continue to tell your story. I think that it's so important to stay engaged and to hear from others and really make an effort to understand what we as patients and advocates can be doing. But for those who are hearing our stories, congressional representatives and others, really make an effort to understand why we're here, why we're passionate about it, and listen.